Something big is happening, but it's happening behind closed doors. In corporate boardrooms, in the halls of government, a single element is being quietly redefined. It's no longer just a commodity. It's becoming the world's most critical strategic asset. Today, we're going to explain why everyone, and I mean everyone, is suddenly treating uranium like a weapon. So let me ask you a question. What could Amazon, the entire US Congress, and strategic planners in Beijing possibly have in common? Well, it turns out they're all making the exact same, massive, high stakes bet on one single resource. And the craziest part? They're all trying to do it on the quiet. See, they've all come to the same conclusion. Uranium isn't something you just buy on the open market anymore. No, it's a strategic asset that you need to control. In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and show you exactly how this massive shift is happening. And believe me, why it changes absolutely everything. Okay, so our first piece of evidence, it comes from a place you might not expect. The cloud. That's right, big tech has quietly become one of the most powerful and hungriest new players in the entire nuclear energy game. And the reason why is really simple. Data. Get this. Goldman Sachs is projecting that by 2030, data centers are going to chew through a staggering 8% of all electricity in the United States. Now, that's up from just 3% back in 2022. And the engine driving this unbelievable surge? You guessed it, artificial intelligence. The scale here is just mind-bending. A single large AI data center can demand 5 gigawatts of power. To put that in perspective, that is more than a major city, and it needs that power running 24/7, 365 with zero interruptions. That's what we call baseload power, and really, there's only one clean energy source that can actually provide it. So, what did all these tech giants do? They went nuclear. Just look at these deals. Microsoft is dropping $16 billion on a 20-year contract to bring 3 Mile Island back online. Amazon's building a $20+ billion nuclear-powered data campus. You got Google, Meta, Oracle. They are all signing multi-decade deals, investing directly in next-gen reactors. These aren't just short-term buys. This is about long-term strategic security for their infrastructure. And this quote from the CEO of NextGen Energy just nails it. Tech companies aren't gambling on uranium prices. No way. They are de-risking hundreds of billions of dollars in AI investments by locking in the only source of clean, reliable, baseload power that can possibly meet their massive needs. They're acting like nation-states. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. This corporate scramble for power, it's happening at the exact same moment that actual nation-states are completely redrawing the map of the entire nuclear fuel supply chain. So this chart right here, wow, it reveals a massive vulnerability. As recently as 2023, Russia supplied over a quarter of the enriched uranium for America's nuclear reactors. For decades, that dependency was just, the cost of doing business. But then, geopolitics changed all of that, and it changed it fast. The response from Washington was this, the Prohibiting Russian Uranium Imports Act. And the goal here wasn't just to punish Russia. It was to officially reclassify its uranium, to stop treating it like an energy import and start treating it like a direct threat to national security. And just look at how fast this all went down. The bill flew through the House by a voice vote and passed the Senate with unanimous consent. Come on, in today's political climate, that kind of speed and unity tells you everything you need to know about how seriously this threat was being taken. But here's the real kicker. This wasn't just a ban. The second that bill was signed, it unlocked over $2.7 billion in federal funding. And it had one single mission: rebuild the entire American domestic uranium enrichment industry from scratch. This isn't market economics, folks. This is industrial policy. Okay, but this whole strategic pivot, it's not just an American story. Not by a long shot. All around the world, the major powers are all making the exact same move, securing physical control over their own nuclear fuel supply. You've got China building up massive strategic stockpiles and buying up mines all over the world. Then there's France, a country whose nuclear program was literally born from the oil shocks of the 70s. They're fully renationalizing their utility and signing direct state-to-state deals for uranium. And then you have Japan, aggressively restarting its entire fleet. It's a global race to bring fuel supplies under sovereign control. And China's strategy here is especially revealing. Look at this table.
They aren't just signing contracts to buy uranium, they're buying equity stakes, and in a lot of cases, controlling interests in the actual mines themselves, all across the planet. This is a very deliberate, very long-term strategy to own the means of production, not just the final product. So you've got this insane demand spike from big tech and governments all rushing to lock down supply. And right at this critical moment, a fundamental problem starts to bubble to the surface. The supply chain itself is starting to break. And to understand why, you just need to know a little bit about something called ISR mining. It's the main technique used by the world's #1 producer, Kazakhstan. Basically, instead of digging a giant hole, they pump sulfuric acid underground, dissolve the uranium, and then pump the liquid out. It's super efficient, but it has one critical dependency. And that dependency, well, it's become a massive bottleneck. For 3 years straight, Kazatomprom, think of them as the OPEC of uranium, has been forced to slash its production targets. And why? A constant shortage of sulfuric acid. The world's most important supplier is stumbling, not because they're out of uranium, but because they can't get their hands on a basic industrial chemical. And the result is what you're looking at right here, a structural supply deficit that's set to get bigger and bigger every single year. We're talking a shortfall of around 20 million pounds in 2025, which then explodes to over 130 million pounds by 2040. This is not a temporary blip. It's a long-term, fundamental gap between what the world needs and what it can actually produce. So what on earth happens when this surging new demand from incredibly powerful buyers collides with a massive geopolitical reshuffling and a supply chain that's structurally broken? Well, here's the thing. We've actually seen this movie before. We just have to rewind the clock to 1973. Before the 1973 oil crisis, oil was just a commodity. Nations always just assumed they could buy it whenever they wanted. But after the oil embargo hit, everything flipped on its head, overnight. Oil was instantly reclassified as a strategic asset. Countries stopped relying on the market and started building huge strategic reserves, signing state-to-state deals, and prioritizing security of supply over everything else. Now, fast forward to today and look at the uranium market. Does that sound familiar? It's the exact same playbook. Those 20-year power deals from big tech, the government-funded supply chains, the strategic hoarding by China, the renationalization in France. These are the moves made by players who now believe that access, not price, is the #1 risk. The reclassification isn't coming. It's already happening right now. So at the end of the day, all of this leaves us with one absolutely critical question. As AI and the energy transition completely reshape our world, who wins the 21st century? Is it the people who can simply afford to buy uranium? Or is it the ones who control it?